7 seconds. And then
Everyone
feel good? Hello, and welcome. I'm Stuart Carden, the new artistic director of KCRep, and you are here with us for the third Thursday night mixer, a social hour, and I'm very thrilled to introduce this week's guests. We have actress Bri Woods.
Hi.
And stage manager Mary Honor.
Hello.
And KCRep scene shop genius technician Paul Docter.
Hello.
I'm so grateful that the three of you agreed to join us for this mixer and social hour and creative conversation. So we have a really exciting cocktail to mix. And so here's how the next hour is going to go with us. We're going to first attempt to mix a local craft cocktail, and then we'll engage in some creative conversation. And then we'll open up the conversation to your questions, your thoughts, your comments, your hazing from Facebook Live in the second part of this. But first, we're gonna make a cocktail together. You all ready to make a cocktail?
Yeah, let's do it.
This week's cocktail was created by Jeff Lichtenberger from Extra Virgin, which is one of the first restaurants that I ever ate at I ate when I was interviewing for the job as artistic director at Extra Virgin. Jeff is part of the guest bartender series from our brand new official partnership for our Thursday night mixer, our sponsor Lifted Spirits Distillery. So you can order cocktail kits online at Lifted Spirits KC Square site, and they're available for pickup at their KC location at 1734 Cherry Street. I know many of you out there picked them up already this week, and so you're going to be mixing along with us. And I'm excited that we can have this local partnership with both Lifted Spirits and also with Extra Virgin and Jeff. So we're going to get mixing. And here we go.
Right.
The cocktail, which I love the name of this cocktail. Can you all say it with me?
Yeah.
Cocktail of the week is the Cantaloupe.
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 I'm sorry.
So this cocktail is the Cantaloupe. I'm sorry. And we're gonna mix 1.25 ounces of Lifted Spirits vodka. Let's see, does everyone have their vodka? And did you pre-unwrap?
I did.
Such a nice sound. And 1.25 ounces
Okay.
of Lifted Spirits vodka.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely measured that very specifically.
And are you living up to the specificity, or are you just a little freer?
A little free.
So that's the vodka. Next, and this looks so good. So this is the batch, which is lemon juice and cantaloupe syrup, which I'm super excited about. And I know my twins, when I told them what was in it, they were trying to steal it from me. And how much of that?
What is it? 1 ounce.
Yeah,
Okay.
1 ounce.
1 ounce of the cantaloupe syrup.
Cantaloupe.
Right? And then, okay, next we shake and strain over ice and then top with ginger beer
Excellent.
after that.
I'm not shaking, I'm stirred tonight.
Me too. Me too, Mary Honor.
I'm shaking, but I don't have a strainer, so we'll see how this goes. Is everyone shaking or stirred?
Good.
Okay, let's see if I can do this in minimal mess in my office.
Oh.
Okay, pouring.
You're doing great.
How do you know? I'm off camera.
Talk,
I believe in you. I can feel it.
Okay, that was minimal mess. So I'm there. And did you all already I didn't pre-open.
I'm ready. Here we go.
A twist top?
Twist top.
Yeah. So the ginger beer, Boylan Heritage Ginger Beer.
This looks delicious.
Did we get a direction on how much to top it
Let's
with?
top it off.
Top to taste.
I love ginger beer, so I'll be drinking most of it.
I have gone heavy with it. And then I'm not totally set up with cocktail stuff, so I'm stirring every week with a chopstick.
Give it a little extra stir. A little more stir.
Little slosh. I'm dripping.
The cantaloupe, I'm sorry, has
Ooh.
been mixed.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, friends. Thank you so much for doing this.
Ooh, that's good.
Delicious.
All right.
I like that cantaloupe.
Ooh,
Refreshing.
I got the ginger.
That is springtime.
Ooh.
It's very
Summer.
nice. Thank you, Jeff, for mixing and imagining up that cocktail. That's delicious.
Yeah, thank you.
And thanks, Lifted Spirits. Very good.
Oh,
You got
nice.
that?
I do.
Did you get that for this, or did you already have it?
Nope. I've toured Lifted Spirits before when my parents were in town, and
Oh.
my dad insisted that we get matching hats.
Yes.
I thought that came in your kit, Paul. I was going to be really jealous. I was like, where's my
Some swag. Maybe we can add that for the next week.
Right.
hat?
Well, I'm so grateful that you all joined for these local cocktails and a little creative conversation. We're living in an extraordinary moment right now, and we're actually running out of adjectives to call this moment. But the very heart of what we do as theater makers and theater practitioners and theater artists has been really impacted by this insidious virus, and really cut at the heart of who we are as makers, and philosophically and emotionally. And I would love to hear from each one of you all what you're doing right now creatively, how you're staying creatively engaged, and if you're not staying creatively engaged in theater right now, that's great too. And wondering if there's other ways that you're engaging creatively. So I'm going to open this up to whoever wants to answer first, and would love to hear from you. And I'll jump in too.
Is anybody itching to go? Because I'll go.
Go Bri, go Bri.
Okay. Well, I came back from New York to my mom's house, which has just always been like a big playground for me, because they're at work, and now I get to play during the daylight hours. So I've, in my basement, created like a little film studio just out of my like tripod and my ring light, and then I got a lapel mic and I stapled it to the ceiling.
Nice.
Yes.
And now I've got this like weird lighting setup where I'm trying to like recreate 3-point lighting with night lights and salt lamps. So I've got on top of like old tubs of sweaters and Christmas clothes, like a stool, and then on top of that I've got my salt lamps. So I'm just playing around in my little studio right now.
I know. I think most people are probably like me, and it sounds like you're the same, Bri, that I have like artfully crafted what's behind me, and if I turn the camera anywhere else, you will see that my computer is on top of the games Beat the Parents, Connect with Cranium, and a Magic Science Kit.
Yes. Yes. That's totally it.
You've got like a professional setup that if
Oh yeah.
you canned you might have a different experience.
Oh, I don't know. I went and bought because I was trying to figure out the whole self-tape game. So I was like, if we're moving forward, I know like self-tape right now is going to be like really important to what's going to be coming this next season and the season after that.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, let me figure out like what my backdrop, so I've got a king size black sheet nailed to the back wall down in the basement. And then on top of that right now, I've got this flamingo salmon color, but I could only find it in a twin. So it stops like right here and like only goes over so far. So I did a self-tape for this thing a while back, and they're like, okay, so we need you to do the from like the shoulder up, a tight shot. Right. And then afterwards, we need the full body to see like what you look like from head to toe, which I am so great at ignoring email directions. I never remember all. So I did the whole self-tape from here up. I was like, oh, excellent. This salmon is great for like comedy. And then they're like, we need this self-tape in front of whatever you're taping. So they've got from like my waist down this like ugly, just like different. And then they've got my basement floor that's paint chips.
Did you just say the phrase salmon is great for comedy?
Yeah, it is. I tell you, I'm figuring this out. I'm working on color theory as well. And if you want to be funny for like absolutely no reason, you put some salmon right behind here. And it picks you up. I tell you, nothing like it.
I love it. So, many of you out there watching know Bri's work more than I do because I'm new to Kansas City, and got to see her really delightful, raucous performance in A Christmas Carol. Very short moment, but super memorable. But also, if you've seen a lot of work at KCRep, you would have also seen Bri and fill in if I'm missing. But in Between the Lines and Schoolgirls, A Christmas Carol, and A Raisin in the Sun.
Yeah. Yep. That's it. Oh,
was that it?
Welcome to Fear City. I forgot about that.
And Welcome to Fear City. Yeah, great. And so I wonder, I've been doing a lot of, on the other side, I've been doing a lot of auditions through Zoom. We've been having our auditions for next season, both our regional ones that we saw a lot of incredible people from Chicago and the region, and local ones, and a really great opportunity to meet local artists. And I've found them just so rewarding on a personal level.
Yeah.
One, I'm new, but also, even though it's through this technology, there's a different feel to these auditions because there's also pent up desire to create and to live in character and to express and also just to connect with another human. So I'm finding them really rewarding and meaningful. For you, how have you found those auditions? And is there fulfillment for you in addition to the creativity of creating the technological and color real space that's appropriate? Is there a creative part to those auditions for you?
I really I'm finding that I really like them because not only like can I create, how they say when you're studying for like an ACT or SAT prep, they're like, okay, one day go in with a jacket and pretend it's like really cold, or another day like, have a certain number of pencils or do it in pen. I like being able to create the condition as like a control freak, because I can be like, okay, I know exactly where I'm supposed to look here. I know what this is going to look like. And I really like the Zoom auditions because I get to not only just be like, this is crazy what we're all going through, and like share that moment with someone who's on the other side of the screen, but then I get to be like, okay, but cool, I'm still working, like I'm still being able to be creative and just like having that moment to express and also get to see yourself on camera at the same time, just not a luxury that actors have all the time.
Yeah, yeah,
I love it.
yeah. How about for you, Paul? In what ways are you continuing to be creative or engage that part of you that is a creative artist and a builder and somebody that really, the scene shop is a real community, and it's a real collaborative community, and it's full and alive every day with personalities, and there's something different every day. So for you in this shelter in place time, how are you engaging creatively, and how is it going for you?
Well, I am halfway through a paint by number.
What's it of?
It's a tree landscape.
Oh.
So I'm excited to pick at that slowly because it's a good time. It keeps me concentrated, and
yeah.
But besides that, not very much.
Yeah.
I remember when I was going through college and high school, as a performer, then I was also doing the directing and also working in the scene shop. During Christmas break or any break I would have, my immune system would shut down. It's like, oh, I get a break, I'm going to be sick now. And it was almost every single year. So I've looked at this as a a break from all of that constant going in and being, diligent with these creative projects, day in and day out. This has been almost a nice reprieve for me personally.
Yeah.
To kind of look inward, spend time with my dog, lots of walks, and I personally think that that's okay where I'm at, and hopefully when we ramp back up, I can get into that headspace again and be ready. So
it's a time to look inward, and what are you finding?
That I'm excited to get back to it. I'm finding that it is an itch that I need to scratch, more frequently, and
yeah,
or I need to find better hobbies.
I've been finding that the fulfillment of conversations like this, they actually, for me as a director and theater artist, this is something that I've been craving. Mm-hmm. And conversations with you, Paul, Bri, Mary, that are fun and spirited, but also like are digging into some self-reflection and thinking about myself as an artist in this time when the art making has been taken away, like the opportunity to engage in conversations around it does fulfill some of that collaborative fulfillment that I get when I'm in a rehearsal room. And so I've been really hungry for, and when I can, been looking for these opportunities with colleagues both in Kansas City and also around the country. And it's also been an amazing way for me, like to find a positive in a very difficult circumstance. I'm getting to know people in ways through things like this and other conversations in Kansas City that I don't know if I would have had an opportunity in the same way. So I'm trying to find the positives in some of the heartache and some of the difficulty. How about for you, Mary? You engaged in creatively?
It's interesting, kind of piggybacking on what Paul just said. My whole creative career has been one of ebb and flow.
Yeah.
You're busy working. It's a very intense time. It's very time consuming, very creatively consuming. And then you're unemployed again.
Right.
And so my whole life has been built on this idea. My whole family works with this idea of sometimes we're really engaged in these theater work, and sometimes we get to disengage from that and re-engage with my private life, my personal life, my family life.
Yeah.
And so I just, when I'm seeing the positives, I see this as a gift of time. It's a real gift as a mom, especially, to have this time with my kids and to be really available to them when they're also processing a lot of tough stuff.
Yeah.
So it's a wonderful gift to be with them. I personally always think that being a mother is one of the most creative jobs in the world. It doesn't pay my bills, but it is very fulfilling. And so I am spending a lot of time with them. They have a lot of creative ideas, a lot of creative projects. And whenever I can, I'm trying to make those dreams come true. So one of those, it's a silly thing, it's not theater, but it's very creative and really fun, is we are working on our secret playroom in our house.
What?
Yeah, so we have a secret playroom.
Don't tell us where it is. Is the secret where it is or what it is?
It's a little bit the secret is what it is. So when you go upstairs in my house, there's 3 doors that all look the same, and 2 of them are bedrooms, but the 3rd one is a secret playroom. So you open the door, and it's kind of this weird half-finished attic space that we have totally painted and put in chalk walls, and there's space over here and magnet boards. And so we are taking one corner of that, and the girls have decided they want a tropical theme.
Yeah.
So we have some mirrors that were gifted to us with flamingos on them. And we have leftover from the nursery, we have those giant leaves from IKEA. And so we're using paint from the basement and just whatever we have on hand. We're going crazy and making some creative space.
I need one of those.
I want to be there, Mary.
Everyone needs a secret playroom. It's the best thing ever.
Bri, I think you've created your own secret playroom, though. It
I
sounds
did. It's not so secret. It's very annoying to my parents.
That's amazing. This is a kind of follow-up question to all of you. Before we move on to what are you creatively consuming? Also, we just want to say hi to a few people that joined. Chip Miller.
Hey.
Hi, Chip.
Hi, Chippy.
Lisa Rothy. Hi, Lisa. Thanks for joining us. A bunch of KCRep staff is on, and Michael Whirl Larson. Michael Larson. Hi, Michael Larson. It was broken up in a weird way. Sorry. And Barbara Fay and James McNeil. Hello to Pittsburgh, James.
Right.
Hello, hello, hello. Also, there's a new hashtag out there. Hashtag Salmon for Comedy.
That's right. It is. It's true.
It's trending.
It'll never stop.
So my follow-up is, is there something about the big or small about for you, Paul, about the scene shop and the culture of the scene shop and the day-to-day work in the scene shop, and for you, Mary, and for you, Bri, about the rehearsal process? Is there something that you're really missing right now that you didn't think you would miss?
Bri's Way shenanigans.
Bri's Way shenanigans. For a second, I thought you said Bri. As in
I was like,
Woods.
I do have a certain way with shenanigans. It's very specific.
But for those that don't know the scene shop, help us understand what the Bri's Way is.
It's our main, entrance to and from the shop to the scene shop dock. It's also next to the props area, as well as the elevator up to the costumes. So it's kind of the communal thoroughfare for all of our departments to mingle. And I don't think I would have said I would miss it. It's one of those things where it's great. And it's one of those, you get to sit down after working a couple times a day, and there's always, we do fun surveys, we play with bouncy balls, sometimes we talk about the news. Bill, we love giving Bill love and crap about things. So yeah,
You're very judicious in the way you chose those words. I love it. How about for you, Mary? Is there something surprising or not for you that big or small that you've discovered? Oh, wow, I'm really missing this.
Yeah, I don't think I'm surprised. It's a familiar feeling when I'm away from the work that the theater work brings out parts of my personality that don't have an outlet in the rest of my life, in my private sector of my life.
Yeah.
And they're not that different from private me, but they are just, there's not that particular outlet.
Yeah.
And my colleagues, especially at the Rep, but even anywhere I work, I feel like there's a certain camaraderie with a certain speed to the way we talk and work, and shorthand of just people know what you mean when you say, and I don't have a good example, but that kind of camaraderie of somebody who just really knows you really well in that environment. I don't have that, you know, and I've experienced that before, but it's a little bit more poignant of like, well, when am I going to experience that next? When are we going to get together and get to do these things again? It's great to get to know my neighbors better and kind of expand that private life, but I do miss that professional camaraderie for sure.
Yeah, that really resonates with me too. Yeah. How about for you, Bri?
I miss everything about it. I miss being, in general, being in a space with people.
Yeah.
My favorite part of putting up a show is the table work. I just love digging into stuff and figuring out like how this works dramaturgically. And I'm finding that I'm able to kind of recreate what's going on just via Zoom. The other day, I got to talk to some friends from Singapore who had just graduated from the Yale campus there. And we were all talking about, he's an animator. So he was talking about how animation is going to move forward within the next few years. And we were talking about like, how do you involve theater with animation? And I just love those conversations that I really used to only get in a theater space.
Yeah.
And so now that I'm having to like reach out and call on friends, that's what we end up talking about anyway. So I'm missing the being in the actual physical space, but the content of what we're talking about is always the same. So
yeah, that I would say for me a similar moment in the theater, Bri, like that. And for those that haven't been in a rehearsal process in theater, table work is the period, the very beginning of a rehearsal process where you've read through the script once as a group, you've talked with designers and directors about the envelope in which the story is going to be told and the world that you're creating together. And then the table work is when you start to go line by line, page by page, scene by scene, and start to ask the questions big and small that the text invites. And it's a heady time. There's like a great energy, anything's possible. And it's a stimulating time, and you're not quite rounding the corner towards the stress of we're headed to tech and we've got to get to opening night and people are showing up. There's a space for exploration inwardly and outwardly, and it's a playful intellectual time, and I think that's something that I'm really missing right now about the room. So great, let's talk about what you're creatively consuming right now. Are there things, I've shared this and I'm only gonna share this as a prompt, but for me, I've been so deeply surprised by how much music has been the thing that have just been after. And I'm thinking about music a lot. I'm listening to a lot of new music, going back to a lot of comfort music. And I'm taking walks in the evenings after our twins go to sleep and listening to full albums. And so that has risen up in a way that I didn't recognize I needed that much. And so that's something that I've been consuming creatively. And it hasn't been streaming things either in theater, which surprised me a little bit, or streaming any series. Lisa, my partner, she will sometimes entice me into a series, and I can get into it, but it's not what I'm craving right now. So I wonder, and I hear something.
Or a lawn.
Airplane or
Oh, it's my dad. He's mowing the lawn behind us.
gotta get that lawn mowed. So what are you consuming creatively right now? What and who wants to jump in?
Oh, I can jump in. We are we've been pretty strict homebodies, and I always thought we had too many books until now. We're reading like crazy, and I especially my older daughter just reason she can read 5 books a day. It's incredible. So I decided to leap in with her. She's got a set of the 10 first Nancy Drew novels. So I've been reading those. I don't know if I ever read them. I remember reading Nancy Drew, I guess, as a kid. So that kind of is nostalgic with some of the familiar characters, and it's kind of a connection to my daughter.
Yeah.
So yeah, when we're turning on the TV or we're pulling out the DVDs, we're pulling out stuff that's a little bit of comfort food.
Yeah.
If anybody knows the BBC Hercule Poirot series with David Suchet, he's fabulous. So we've been watching those and kind of eating up that old comfort food that feels really familiar and gives us kind of a connection inside our household to each other. I have not been streaming a lot of the new stuff. It's out there, it's tantalizing, but I kind of am reaching for the comfort right now.
Yeah. That totally resonates. Bri or Paul?
Paul.
Well, I've been consuming a lot of online content. I follow a production company called Rooster Teeth. They're based out of Austin, Texas. And their main thing, it's just a core group of people, and they do live streaming every day. They have a bunch of podcasts, and it's mostly video game or gaming world conversations.
Yeah,
which is something that I don't really do myself, which is kind of interesting. But they're comedians at heart, and so they make each other laugh, and that community is nice to kind of escape into, knowing that they're so comfortable with each other and missing that in my own world. That's the main thing.
That's very cool. The whole gaming and kind of watching and consuming others game is so not a part of my generation. and my twins are just they're just naming all of the lead gamers out there and know everything about their life, and it's an amazing strange to me idea that there are gamers out there. Zebra Gamer I hear about all the time, that have millions and millions of followers, and to watch them execute sometimes the games, but it's really just about the personality. It's amazing how much it's just about. It's not like there's that much expertise. It doesn't seem like it's really about. At least for my twins, their comments about, oh, this gamer is married to this person, and they played a prank on their brother, and it's a strange reality TV show situation, but through gaming. But what you're describing is not really that, right? This is more of friends getting together that are gamers, and you have access to that kind of camaraderie and engagement. Yeah. How about for you, Bri? What are you consuming creatively?
Well, hold on, because Paul, do you game? Do you game at all?
I just recently got a PlayStation 4, but it was
Okay.
like the first time in a long time. And it's one of those things where I don't. And I just, the consuming of watching people play games and have that connection, and it's interesting and weird, but something that I like to
My best friend got married, and her husband met some of his best friends who were gamers for the first time at their wedding.
Wow.
They all came, and they didn't know they were at the like bachelor, or I guess, yeah, the bachelor/bachelorette party, and we didn't know who these people were when they showed up because they didn't know what they looked like.
right.
And then they finally was just like, "Oh, hey, I'm Bunny 22. What's hi?" And they like shook it, and it was the coolest thing. I was like, "Whoa, this is amazing!" That part, I love that. I thought that was so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, at your wedding. What am I consuming? I right now am obsessed with Michaela Cole. She is the creator behind Chewing Gum. It's on Netflix. It's a comedy that's
Yes.
set in East London. She's amazing. And then I was looking for comedic monologues to set against my salmon backdrop, and her show, she always opens up every episode with some sort of just anecdote. And so I was like, maybe I can pull something from there. And then it led me down the hole because Netflix took her series off because she's not continuing with them anymore. So I was like, well, how do I find this? I couldn't find it. So then I went into her whole thing, and Chewing Gum started off of Chewing Gum Dreams, the play, the one-woman play. So I ordered the play. I started reading the play. I was like, well, she's so fascinating. She's a writer. She's a comedian. She's a spectacular director, producer, all these other things. So then I went back in, and they still have Black Earth Rising.
Yes. That's what I was just trying to think of.
I love it so much.
Yes, and she's amazing in it. And
so good.
Terrifying in it too. She's so intense in that piece. And Chewing Gum is so funny.
It's great.
It's amazing.
It's my type of humor.
That's cool. That's cool.
I just love that Black Earth Rising is like Game of Thrones mixed with the girl with the dragon tattoo. Just really cool, like political stuff.
And she's in another new series too, right?
Yeah.
That's just coming out. Yeah, she's phenomenal. Oh, yeah. That's fascinating. I didn't know that she originated a play first that was turned into Chewing Gum, the series.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, thanks for sharing what you've been consuming creatively. How's your cantaloupe? I'm sorry. Going down.
It's really good.
He has a Canadian accent, like, oh, I'm sorry, cantaloupe. It's delicious, by the way.
It is so good.
Yeah, I like that spice of the ginger.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we've got some questions from our friends out in Facebook land, including, hi, Nicole Marie Green. Hello. Would love to know one of your favorite KCRep shows that you weren't a part of.
Ooh.
But Paul, you've built everything, so maybe you could just share one of your favorite. Maybe you share one of your favorite shows that's not a KCRep, or share one of your favorite shows at KCRep. Paul, do whatever you want. Mary and Bri, do you want to answer Nicole's question? One of your favorite KCRep shows that you weren't a part of.
What you got, Bri?
Frida. I will say that that's the best show I've seen anywhere. I just love Vanessa and her work. Happy birthday to Vanessa. I think it's a birthday today.
Happy birthday, Vanessa.
Hi. But that's the best work I've seen in Kansas City, anywhere I've ever seen. It was just so connected and just really good work. Frida.
And what did you really respond to?
Just the way that I think I always admire things in other actors when I find, or other performers, when I find things that I personally feel like I lack in. And Vanessa's attention to movement is just like really astounding to me. I could watch her cut an onion for hours on it. It's just the way she's just so specific with her movements in a way that it's totally fluid, and just like very organic, but controlled at the same time. Just watching her is just a masterclass. I really admire it.
I love that. I love it. Mary, for you?
A few years back, the rep did Evita, which I was not able to do, and that was a big heartbreak.
Yeah.
I like the show. I know the music backwards and forwards. Anytime there's a big musical, I want to be in there. I want to be doing it. I just love everything about that. And so many people I knew and cared about were on that project, and the timing was not right for me, and that was hard. Yeah. Really hard.
Yeah, what do you like about working on a really big musical? Because those of you out there that don't know what a stage manager does, a really big musical is in stride, just in sheer numbers of artistic collaborators that you're working with, and so what is it about really big musicals that you are drawing you to?
It pulls out all the stops.
Yeah.
It adds all the friends. If we're doing a straight play, which of course I do love as well, I just feel like, where are my music friends? They're not here. Yeah. So if we bring all of that in, and if you're really lucky, people are throwing their resources at it. You get to play with motors. You get to maybe fly people. You get to do all this really cool stuff. And I feel like it still pushes me as a stage manager to keep all of those pieces flowing, both in my head and in real time. But also just, man, a show with music, it just speaks to my heart. And so I get to be there every night when we tell this gorgeous story with all the different elements working in concert. It's thrilling.
What's the hardest part of calling a musical? So as you call a show, so Mary's calling when you go with lights and when you go with sound, and when sometimes you're activating a trap or an event. So what's the hardest part about stage managing a musical?
There's a lot of parts to it.
Yeah.
So I'm a little biased. I love calling a musical, so it's not hard intrinsically. Right. It's hard in terms of making sure you have confidence in your team, and that your team has confidence in you. That trust is that much more important, because frequently there's extended safety reasons why we really have to be mind melded in what we're creating night after night after night. Yeah. Which I find thrilling, but it is really important to get it right. And so making sure that you've cultivated that relationship with each and every technician, every performer, that it comes together really as a unit, even though we might be hundreds of people, we got to bring it together in time, not just for the safety, but also for the art. It's a thrill.
Yeah, that's great. I love it. Another question that came in, Paul, you do not have to answer this.
That's okay.
But I feel like I have to ask it, because I don't know who this is from, but Paul, if you could switch roles with anyone in the company, who would it be and why? I know this is from a KCRep person. We know it is. But if you could switch roles with anyone in the company, who would it be and why? And Paul, you do not have to answer this question. Just say pass if you don't want to answer this question.
Yeah, there's too many to count.
Politic and the right answer. The right. Oh, I know who it's from now. I know who it's from, and it is not someone giving you a breezeway hard time. It's someone that's genuinely asking. Melanie Coleman asked, if there's anyone. You can still pass.
I'll do a week with each position.
Yeah.
All right.
So fun. Katie Gilchrist. Hi, Katie.
Hi, Katie.
Everyone should check out Katie's Monday night series, which is really amazing.
Oh yeah.
You can find. I don't know exactly how you would find it, but find Katie on Gilchrist on Facebook and join her Monday night series, which is a really amazing treat. Every Monday night with a lot of Kansas City artists taking part in it. She asks, what is one of your most memorable experiences in the theater? And she does not ask whether that is whether that's as an audience member or as working on a show, but what is one of your most memorable experiences in the theater?
I'll go. My first show in college, I had played pretty tame roles in high school, and my first role in college was an angry man with his pants off who started the show. And so boxer shorts, screaming at the audience, was a rude introduction to what was expected of an actor for the next, step up.
Yeah.
And so it was very memorable. I worked with amazing people who were all way more talented than me, and it's a thing it'll stick with me forever. And shout out to Bill Irwin for putting me in that role.
Hey.
Yay, Bill. That's awesome. That's awesome. Mary or Bri?
This isn't exactly specific, but as a kid, my parents took me to the Muni Opera in St. Louis, which maybe some people know, but if you don't, it's a huge outdoor amphitheater. It's got 12,000 seats. And they do 1 week stock, basically, musicals all summer long. My mother loved musicals, where I got it from, I guess. But it was thrilling to sit way in the back, but to see these shows. My violin teacher was in the pit, so I felt kind of connected there. And to be out under the stars and watching these shows was amazing, and a really neat tie into my life as an adult when I get the opportunity to work out at Starlight. It's very, very similar. And I never get tired of that. I never get tired of sitting out in, Shakespeare in the Park is a similar kind of experience. Being outdoors and still experiencing that theatrical magic, it's terrific.
Yeah. Yeah. Bri?
Seeing The Color Purple for the first time. And we were in standing room only. I had just had a few cocktails, and so I walked in and the music started, and I don't know what, my eyes just started pouring water out of them, and salt. It was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. But being in a show, is Katie Gilchrist directed me in Moulin Rouge, and we got a cease and desist order. So that was the most. Just getting to play Satine was really cool. And then getting told to stop was even cooler.
That's so great. For me, this is a very, it's not exactly theater, but I can trace back why I became a theater artist to, and we're trying to keep this short, to something that my parents took me to when I was a kid. And we would all pile in the car, drive way, way, way out in the country. I grew up in Kentucky. We'd pick up Kentucky Fried Chicken all the way, and we'd go to the drive-through liquor store for my dad. And the kids would get pop, and we'd go out, out, out. And then we would park in this field. Then we would go and get on boats to this little island. It was really a peninsula, not an island. And you would disembark with all these other families, and you would sit amongst the gravestones. it was a graveyard, and you would sit with your family and hear ghost stories told from around the world. There was classic Edgar Allan Poe stories read, but there was also world ghost stories that were shared during this. And that whole experience that has it all, right? That crossing the river Styx into the land of the dead. And you're being taken on journeys that are both terrifying inwardly and also giving you perspective on the world in fascinating ways. And you're also with your family, and it's scary and safe at the same time. Like all those things I can really trace back to that moment and those experiences at the Corn Island Ghost Storytelling Festival.
Wow.
That we would go to for many years. That, and then when I was really young, I was in London and saw Paul Scofield on stage in John Gabriel Borkman, the Ibsen play. And with Vanessa Redgrave. And I had just never seen performances like that were just, they were epic. And so fully lived in, and yet truthful, but also huge performances that were simultaneously intricate and subtle and deep. And like those that production and both Vanessa Redgrave and Paul Scofield's performances in it were really memorable for me. I still feel like they were 20 feet tall. That's the feeling that still lives in me from that. And I think it was like maybe 20 years old. So yeah. I've got time for one more question, and then we've got a wrap up question. This is super specific, and I think it's very interesting. From Mike Borst to Paul, what is the difference between a carpenter who builds in a theater and a carpenter who works in construction?
The reason I'm a carpenter in the theater world is because of the creative outlet that it brings throughout the process. There's a plan in front of me, and how it gets done is, there is a right way to do it. But you can have some creativity and some lenience and some freedom, and then also you get to stand back at the end of it and watch the show and how it interacts and how the audience can see that. And so that communication, if you will, between the scenery that we're building and the actors and the audience and how the director uses it, and all of that is why I'm a theatrical carpenter. And I'm sure there's a lot of pluses to be on a construction site with, very detailed plans and regulations that we don't quite understand in the theater world, or at least we don't partake in them. But that's my take.
Yeah, that's really beautifully said, Paul. It's really beautifully said. That's really fascinating. I never quite thought of it in that way. That's a great question, Mike Borst, whoever you are. So we're about 6 minutes before we wrap up our time together. I want to give some thanks, and then would love to wrap up with one final question for all three of you. So we want to thank, again, this partnership we're really happy about, because it's a way for KCRep to be in partnership with Lifted Spirits Distillery, a local distillery who's then partnering with local restaurants and local bartenders. And we love this collaboration with Lifted Spirits. And so I want to thank them for providing cocktail kits. If you want to join us next week and mix alongside of us, which we'd love for you to do that, next week's cocktail is called Thai 69. I don't know what's in it, but I'm excited. Thai 69. And if you use a coupon code KCRep1 at Lifted Spirits, you get 15% off, and then you can mix alongside us. And these are kits, like there's 16 drinks.
Yeah, right.
So come back next week for that. So my final question for all of you is, when we're able to get social again and get out in the world again, what is the first thing you're going to eat, drink, and experience on the other side of this? Paul, can I go to you first?
Sure. Mine's all in the same spot, up, down, arcade. I'm going to have a piece of pizza, drink a PBR, and play some pinball.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it. Mary, for you, eat, drink, and experience when we're on the other side of this.
We're going to take one of our favorite outings, me and my kids. We're going to go to the Toy and Miniature Museum. Then we're going to go to the Nelson and have lunch at the Roselle Court and see the art museum. And we're going to finish with a milkshake from Winstead's.
Yes.
Hey.
Sounds amazing. Can you take me with you?
Sure, come on.
Field trip.
Tell me the ice cream place again.
We're going to go to Winstead's.
Okay.
It's right there on the plaza. It's a fabulous little diner. It's been there for ever, I don't know, a long time. But they've got fabulous milkshakes.
Oh, milkshakes. Okay, cool. Great. And how about for you, Bri?
All right, we're gonna start at Ragazza. I'm gonna eat a meatball, a side of mushrooms, and they have that really tasty steak skewer with arugula underneath. It's gonna be a double date. Sam Cordes is gonna be there with me. I guess it's just a regular date because nobody else will be there. Then we're gonna go and we're gonna drink their limoncello because it's really delicious. Ragazza Food and Wine, best place in Kansas City ever. Check it out.
They love Ragazza. Awesome.
Love Ragazza.
And they love theater. And they love theater there. That's awesome.
They do.
And then what are you going to experience?
And then we're going to go to a late night theater show at Missy B's run by Ron McGee and Jessica Dressler and Chadwick Brooks and see all my favorites because there's nothing that makes me laugh harder than a good late night show.
I am so new here, so I have not been, and I know Ron. I'm getting to know Ron, but I've not been yet. So can I
put it on the list?
Tag along with you, Bri?
I'll take you. I'll break you open. We'll go together for your first time. It'll be great.
Before we sign off, I just want to share that next week our guests are going to be executive artistic director of the Heart of America Shakespeare Festival. Sydney Garrett's going to join us. Playwright Nathan Lewis Jackson is going to join us next week. And KCRep's very own costume shop manager, Jenny Green, is going to join us next week. Want to say thanks first to everyone out there for joining us, and invite you to join Kansas City theater artists and practitioners with Kansas City crafted cocktails in creative conversation for our KCRep Thursday mixer. We'd love to see you next week. And want to personally thank Paul for joining, Mary for joining, and Bri for joining. It's been really fun getting to know you all more and having a conversation.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us. Yeah.
Thank you.
And here's to brighter days, and we'll see you at the theater. Thanks, everybody. Cheers.
Cheers.